Now, for more on this very conversation, we are now joined by political analyst, Professor Ntsikelelo Breakfast. Prof, a very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. It's certainly been a very long day, not only for those parliamentary ad hoc committee members, but for General Mkhwanazi in answering all of those questions. I just want to get your feel with regards to the questions that have been fielded to him, how he's been answering them. And in terms of the line of questioning, do you feel that political parties were in some ways trying to ask questions to prove the involvement of certain political parties in some of these allegations?
Thank you very much for having me. No, I think the questions were fair and square. I don't think the way the questions were structured or packaged, they were leading questions. I did not come across any question of the sort. So I think those were fair questions, which gave him room also to articulate, answers according to his own perspective. So, I cannot put the blame on members of parliament on that score. But I think on the whole, I think the framing of the presentation of the general seems to be similar to that he pitched at the commission, though I think at the moment he comes across to be unpacking too much in terms of the details. Of course, I understand that in the beginning, even in the clip that you played, he said that there were two processes at the Nhlanhla commission, that you had to speak in public but also speak in private. But at the moment, I think he's just giving a blow-by-blow account regarding what had happened or how he interprets the series of events.
Speaking on that, Malema asked him a question, of course, about overreach in terms of what he had said on the 6th of July in terms of the judiciary being involved in a lot of this malpractice, instead of just naming a magistrate when it comes to the judiciary as a whole. And his answer there being, but the processes are different. If you were to hear that which is said on closed sessions, on camera at the Nhlanhla Commission, you'd be quite surprised as to what some of the details would come out there. What does it say about the two processes? Does this then show that because this is only an open session, there's a lot that the parliamentary committee could have then missed with regards to some of the information that really is needed to make certain decisions?
So the argument he was putting forward is that there are sensitive issues pertaining to national security that cannot be revealed in public. I don't know where to draw the line there between being transparent and also preventing threats that could further pose danger to the country. But at the same time, I think at the moment, because it's a different platform, and it's a political platform, so it's been given space to give a blow-by-blow account. So I think that's why maybe he comes across to be revealing too much as opposed to what had happened before, whereby he had limitations in terms of how he could answer questions. But at the heart of what he says is that, according to him, again, is that our national security is really compromised as a country. If you look at the operations of a criminality that he has been speaking about, the lack of discipline within SAPS, how, for instance, SAPS has been embroiled in politics, whereby men and women in uniform are involved in political activities that have nothing to do with the mandate of SAPS. So those issues are but also some of these issues could have been addressed if the findings from the Zondo commission were taken seriously, because it's the same thing that we've had before, but there's just been given a space to give more details.
I mean, he speaks about what he terms as the turning point for SAPS, particularly looking into the ANC Polokwane conference and the factionalism that took place there, and then how that then infiltrated within SAPS. And he's also gone on to talk about the decentralization of police functions as a possible solution to some of which is going on. What's your take on just that timeline and the process of how things have gotten us to where we currently are?
Yeah, that was a very interesting description. In particular, the demarcation in terms of the period that he focused on, in terms of the scope of his analysis. For instance, he says that, and I'm paraphrasing him, that the straw that broke the camel's back was the rise of Jacob Zuma. And I'm not talking about the rightness or the wrongness of what he said. It's just that I think I would be also very careful, because now he's also getting involved in politics.
Right.
The same thing that he blames others for, he's also doing it. So I think one was very careful there, because you don't want to come across also to be embroiled in political issues. But of course, I mean, I think maybe what he was trying to say is that security officers or men and women in uniform in SAPS have been embroiled in political affairs. That I understand. Is just that I think he went too deep, in my view. Yeah, in terms of the description that he gave.
The MP for Action SA, Darlene James, had her string of questions really centered around the scourge of drugs and really how it implicates and has such an impact deeply within communities. What did you take out of her questioning in trying to link that of the drug cartels, the involvement of politicians, and what we see on the ground at a daily basis? Because I believe that in the midst of everything, amongst everything that we are discussing at these commissions and at these parliamentary committees, is how it affects you and I on the ground.
Yes. So I mean, there are two issues. You have national security, which is the security of the country. Then you have human security, which is the security that we're talking about between you and I. But also the question has to do with what is happening at the operational level as opposed to at the strategic level. I don't think that she was off the mark by raising that question, because those are practical issues. I mean, drugs have really affected young people in many townships, even people who are part of the middle class. So I think that was a good question. I mean, I cannot say that she was at fault by framing that kind of a question.
And we are seeing again a number of names coming up. The former Minister of Police, Bheki Cele, and the sending of bank accounts to Ket Matlala. They discovered that obviously on his phone when they confiscated it while he was in jail. Money was transferred into that account, even though they haven't yet proven whether that money eventually got to General Cele. Is it still alarming and concerning that we are hearing of some of these names that are closely linked to really what seems like alleged drug kingpins in the country?
Look, I mean, I think the cat is already out of the bag, in terms of the people that he has been mentioning, this and that person. I think has been kind of like building upon what he's been saying from the previous platform that he was given a space to present his case in. So there's nothing new about that. But I think what is going to be interesting now going forward is that even the people that he has mentioned also will be given space to present their side of the story. Because, I mean, you have to apply the law of natural justice. So, I mean, I hear him. But I hear him critically. I think it will be wrong for us as citizens to accept what he says uncritically, or to accept what he says as the gospel truth. So, but I mean, of course, he should carry on, painting a picture, but it will be interesting in the final analysis in terms of what will come out of this platform and what will come out of that platform. And then I think what we will have to do then is to juxtapose the findings and check if there are linkages.
What would you say to ordinary South Africans that are tracking these proceedings right now in terms of how we then view our world, like you mentioned, the impact that this would have on ordinary citizens from a safety point of view? I mean, General Mkhwanazi at some point spoke about there only being one scanner in the country that scans goods and cargo at ports in terms of what's coming in, and therefore opening up such a big loophole for drugs to be able to make their way in and out of South Africa. What do you think as South Africans we should be making about really what is going on a daily basis in our country, listening to such a committee hearing?
Yeah, I think we need to understand that this is a very important process that the country is going through of trying to uncover the truth regarding the security architecture of the country. Because my view is that security is the lifeblood of any country. We cannot achieve our intended objectives of creating jobs, growing the economy, if there are insecurities which are not addressed. So these threats, they really need to be addressed. Because, who looks after the economy when we are sleeping is the security officers. Therefore, we need security officers who are a professional outside politics. So really, these issues, they have to be addressed. I think it's not good enough only to unveil them in public. I think the findings will have to be reduced in practice.
All right, Prof. Breakfast, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this evening, unpacking for us day 2 of that parliamentary ad hoc committee where General Lieutenant Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi has been answering questions from various political parties with regards to the allegations that he made back on the 6th of July. Thank you so much for joining us.